Hello and welcome to the news update on Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babayo. Before we begin, here are the headlines. Primate Ayodele warns Tinubu of possible reprisal attacks after US airstrikes. Wike denies promising Tinubu he would hold PDP for him ahead of 2027. Tinubu says Anthony Joshua is receiving the best care in hospital. Governor Adeleke signs Nigeria's 20.7 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill into law. Ogun West Senator pushes cultural and tourism development to boost local growth. Coalition urges relief for civilians impacted by US-Nigeria airstrikes on terrorists. APC chieftain decries silence on alleged tax law alterations, calls for accountability. And now the news in full. Spiritual leader Primate Elijah Ayodele of the INRI Evangelical Spiritual Church has issued a stark warning to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, warning that bandits and terrorists may be planning heavy reprisal attacks in response to recent US military airstrikes in Sokoto State. Ayodele expressed concern that the strikes, intended to target extremist elements, could trigger an escalation in violent reprisals rather than weaken criminal networks. In a statement released through his media aide, Ayodele cast doubt on the effectiveness of the foreign military action, suggesting that the United States isn't helping Nigeria and that the operation might instead serve other strategic agendas. He argued that the strikes exposed what he views as the inability of the Nigerian government to independently tackle insecurity and warned that radicalized groups will react aggressively to any perceived external interference. Ayodele urged the Nigerian military to redouble its own strategic planning and coordination to prevent a backlash and avert a worsening of the security situation. His comments reflect growing public debate about the role of foreign military involvement in Nigeria's internal security challenges, especially as extremist groups adapt and shift tactics. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) and former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has rejected claims by Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde that he promised President Bola Tinubu he would hold the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for him ahead of the 2027 general elections. Wike described the allegation as a blatant lie and insisted that no such pledge was ever made during meetings with the president. Makinde had publicly claimed that during a private 2024 meeting with Tinubu and other political figures, Wike volunteered to undermine and control the PDP in support of the president's political ambitions. In response, Wike clarified that the encounter was informal and had nothing to do with party strategy, stressing that his support for President Tinubu has always been public and does not require behind-the-scenes pledges. Wike also questioned why Makinde did not raise the issue with PDP leadership at the time if it were true, and suggested that the governor's accusations stemmed from frustrations over political developments, including disputes over appointments and intra-party disagreements. He reiterated that his own political positions are a matter of public records and not contingent on secret bargains. The dispute highlights ongoing tensions within the PDP as the 2027 election cycle approaches, with party unity and strategy remaining key points of contention among senior figures and state governors. President Bola Tinubu has provided an update on the health of British-Nigerian heavyweight boxer Anthony Joshua, saying the athlete has been told he is receiving the best possible medical care following a recent hospitalization. Tinubu, speaking from the presidential villa, conveyed Joshua's reassurance that medical treatment and recovery efforts are progressing well, underscoring that the boxer is in capable hands and under the supervision of expert clinicians. The president's remarks were made in response to public concern over Anthony Joshua's health after his unexpected hospital admission, which drew widespread attention given his high-profile status in global sport. President Tinubu emphasized that the Nigerian government remains supportive and that well-wishers and fans should be confident in the care being provided. He also extended good wishes for a swift recovery, noting the boxer's importance as a sporting ambassador for both Nigeria and the broader African continent. Officials close to the situation did not disclose specific medical details, citing privacy considerations, but reiterated confidence in the medical team's expertise. The president's statement appears aimed at reassuring supporters of the general and the general public that Joshua's condition is stable and being managed professionally. Governor Taofik Abimbola Adeleke has signed the 20.7 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill into law, marking a step in fiscal planning and public service delivery for Nigeria's southwest region. The signing ceremony held at the state government secretariats underscores Adeleke's commitment to implementing a budget that prioritizes infrastructure, education, healthcare and social welfare. The newly enacted budget outlines projected revenue and spending plans for the coming fiscal year, with significant allocations directed towards capital projects and human development initiatives. Governor Adeleke said the budget reflects public input and aligns with the state's development agenda, emphasizing accountability, transparency, and results-oriented execution. He challenged ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure efficient use of resources while pledging enhanced monitoring and performance reviews to track progress across sectors. Key features of the bill include funding boosts for road construction and maintenance, expansion of healthcare infrastructure, increased support for education and vocational training, and social investment programs targeting vulnerable households. Stakeholders and community leaders present at the signing lauded the inclusive budget process and highlighted optimism that the new plan would stimulate economic growth and job creation. Governor Adeleke's action ensures that the 2026 budget will take effect at the start of the new fiscal year, positioning Osun State to pursue its development goals with a clear financial framework. We will now go on a short break, and when we come back, the news will continue. Stay tuned.
The Papyrus Global, we don't just cover events, we create cinematic experiences. From red carpets to birthdays, gala dinners, and your fairy tale weddings, we bring your moments to life with high-tech precision. Our gadgets are smarter, our lenses sharper, and our team simply world-class. Trust the Papyrus Global to tell your story in the boldest, brightest way possible.
Welcome back, and now the news will continue. Senator Solomon Olamilekan Adiola, representing Ogun West Senatorial District, has reiterated his long-term commitment to promoting cultural heritage and tourism as engines of socio-economic growth in the region. Speaking at the grand finale of the 2025 Isaga Day Festival in Isaga Orile, Abeokuta North Local Government Area, Adiola reaffirmed that cultural celebrations are vital drivers of unity, identity, and economic development for his constituents and the wider Ogun community. Adiola, who chairs the Senate Committee on Appropriations, highlighted his support for infrastructure projects and events that encourage tourism and attract visitors, saying these initiatives create jobs and broaden opportunities for local businesses. He pointed to hundreds of constituency projects he has facilitated, including roads, health facilities, and educational support programs, noting that festivals and cultural showcases complement physical development by drawing attention to the country's rich heritage. The senator also stressed that collaboration with federal, state, and community leaders is essential to maximize tourism potential, especially by enhancing festivals like Isagadi and others in Ogun to celebrate history, tradition, and community cohesion. He expressed confidence that sustained investment in cultural tourism will strengthen local economies, and foster unity across diverse communities in Ogun West and beyond. A coalition of around 88 civil society organizations (CSOs) has called on government authorities to prioritize relief and support for civilians affected by recent US-Nigeria military operations targeting terrorists, including airstrikes carried out in Sokoto State over Christmas Day. The groups say their appeal focuses on addressing humanitarian harms suffered by communities, clarifying the legal basis for the strikes, and ensuring accountability and protection for affected residents. In a joint statement, the CSOs urged the government to establish transparent mechanisms to investigate any civilian harm, publicly release findings from such reviews, and provide compensation and assistance to victims and communities impacted by military action. They warned that failure to address these concerns could fuel mistrust and deepen social tensions in an already fragile security environment. The coalition's call underscores broader debate in Nigeria over the role of foreign military cooperation in national security. While the government has confirmed that US-led strikes were conducted in partnership and within established intelligence sharing frameworks, critics argue for stronger safeguards to protect civilians and a more robust communication strategy from leadership dimensions about the legal and humanitarian dimensions of such operations. CSOs also emphasize that any counter-terrorism effort must be accompanied by humanitarian relief, compensation processes, and community rebuilding plans to ensure long-term peace and trust between citizens and the state. A senior All Progressives Congress APC chieftain, Eze Chukwuemeka Eze, has openly criticized the leadership of the ruling party for remaining silent on mounting allegations that Nigeria's newly enacted tax reforms were altered after passage by the National Assembly. Eze's remarks reflect growing tensions within political cycles over the controversial tax reforms, which are scheduled to take effect from 1st January 2026. The chieftain said the lack of clear communication from party leadership and government officials on the allegation is damaging public confidence in the legislative process, particularly as lawmakers and civil society raise constitutional concerns about discrepancies between the versions passed in parliament and the copies later gazetted and circulated. Opposition lawmakers and civil groups have called for a full investigation and possible suspension of the tax laws pending review, asserting that alterations without proper legislative approval could violate sections 4 and 58 of the 1999 Constitution and undermine democratic governance. Some critics have even labeled post-passage challenges as tantamount to forgery, insisting that only fresh passage of identical text by National Assembly followed by presidential assent can restore legal legitimacy. E- Eze's intervention adds to a chorus of voices urging clearer leadership and transparency from the APC and government as public debate intensifies ahead of the law's implementation date. And that's all we have on the news update on Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babayo. Thanks for joining us.